Growing up, I wasn't the disappointment. I was just the extra. The background character in someone else's highlight reel. The one who takes the family photos, not the one in them. And in my family? That spotlight was permanently fixed on my brother Evan. Evan, the golden child. Evan, the record breaker. Evan, who once got a trophy for best effort in third grade t-ball, and Mom had it engraved with future CEO. When he sneezed, Dad said, "Blessings upon us all." When I had the flu, they texted from downstairs, "Can you keep it down? We're watching a documentary." Okay, maybe that's dramatic. But when it came to recognition, affection, even basic acknowledgement, Evan got prime rib. I got leftovers. Not that I was jealous. Not really. I just wanted to be seen. Not applauded. Not gifted a Porsche or flown to Cabo for mental wellness. Just seen. So when I finally made it to college, after 2 years of working nights, one denied FAFSA appeal, and a full-blown meltdown in a financial aid office, I didn't do it for them. I did it for me. But somewhere deep down, I still hoped they'd notice. My path wasn't smooth. I started at community college, then transferred into a state university. I majored in computer science, a field my dad once described as nerdy but practical, which was basically his version of a compliment. I studied during lunch breaks. I coded between warehouse shifts. My GPA was built out of espresso shots and duct tape. Meanwhile, Evan posted drone footage of his girlfriend's birthday in Tulum and somehow got featured in a magazine for emerging entrepreneurs, even though his only business was reselling limited edition sneakers. At family dinners, Dad would nudge me and say, "Why don't you do something like your brother?" I wanted to respond, like be born with a trust fund and a naturally symmetrical face. But I just smiled and said, "Working on it." And I was. Until the day came. Graduation. 4 years, 3 jobs, and 0 spring breaks later, I was about to cross the stage. Cap, gown, name called out over the loudspeaker. So I did what any optimistic fool would do. I texted the family group chat. Me. "Hey, just a heads up, my graduation's this Saturday at 4 p.m. Hope you can make it." 1 minute. No response. 5 minutes. Nothing. Then came the ping. "Evan, we'll be in Vegas that weekend. Julia's birthday. You know how it is. Party popper." Of course. Julia. The girlfriend who referred to me once as tech support. The one who bought a kitten just to match her purse. Okay. Deep breath. Still room for someone, anyone, to reply with decency. And then, "Mom, don't be dramatic." No. "Congratulations." No. "We're proud of you." Not even a "sorry we can't make it." Just a 3-word dismissal. I stared at my screen. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't angry even. I felt stupid. For trying. For assuming maybe this time would be different. I typed back 1 word. Me. Understood. Then I put the phone down. And that was it. No follow-up. No apology. The chat went back to business as usual. Aunt Lorna posted a link to a shrimp casserole recipe. Evan sent a video of Julia pole dancing at her pre-birthday warm-up brunch. And me? I sat there in my tiny apartment, graduation cap in a box by the door, gown still hanging from the closet rod, wondering if it was worth it. If all the work, the nights I barely slept, the semesters I nearly quit, would amount to anything more than a polite shrug from the people who should have been cheering. I didn't know it yet, but this moment, this quiet little heartbreak, wasn't the ending. It was the setup. Because life has a funny way of leveling things. And when it does, even Vegas can't protect you. Graduation day came fast. Faster than I thought, considering how long the journey felt. 4 years had crawled by like a wounded snail, but that final week? It sprinted past. I ironed my gown on the floor of my apartment, trying to ignore the burn marks from where I dropped a quesadilla 3 months ago. The cap didn't fit right, too loose in the back, too tight in the front, like it was confused about what head it belonged to. I stared at myself in the mirror. Black gown. Wrinkled sleeves. Stubborn colic. No one's idea of a Facebook cover photo. I wasn't expecting a crowd. I had one friend coming, Luis, from my coding class. And he was mostly there for the snacks afterward. I didn't bother sending my family another reminder. No point. The last time I tried that, I got a thumbs down emoji from Evan and a cryptic, "Ugh," from Mom. Apparently, Julia's birthday bash was already in full swing. I know because they were posting about it every hour. Photos in rented pool cabanas. Matching outfits. One post from Julia caption: "In Vegas with my king crown, who deserves the world? Don't at me unless you're sending champagne bottle with poppycork sparkles, #blessed, #not you." I think the "not you" was about me. I showed the post to Luis. He snorted and said, "At least the buffet looks bomb." At the ceremony, I sat between a guy who brought his ferret in a sling and a girl who was sobbing through her mascara about student loans. We were a mess. A proud, exhausted, burrito-fueled mess. When they called my name, full name, middle included, I didn't hear cheers. No one whistled. No one shouted, "That's my boy!" But Luis yelled, "Let's go!" from 4 rows back and almost knocked over a chair. And honestly, that meant more than 1,000 forced claps. I walked across the stage, shook the dean's hand, and held my diploma like it was made of gold. Because for me, it was. This was mine. All mine. I'd earned it the hard way, no shortcuts, no handouts. I graduated. I was officially the first one in our family to finish college. And the only text I got from home that day was from Aunt Lorna, who said, "Saw your name in the program. Hope it went well. We're in Branson this weekend. Big hugs." Branson. Even she had better things to do. I went back to my apartment, hung the gown by the door, cracked open a root beer, and sat down on the couch with a microwave burrito. Not glamorous. Not viral. But peaceful. And then, later that night, I saw it. The breaking news banner, scrolling across the screen. I was halfway through a nature documentary narrated by Morgan Freeman and dipping a stale tortilla chip into peanut butter when the program cut out. Breaking news. Massive hotel fire breaks out on Las Vegas Strip, multiple floors evacuated. The name of the hotel flashed in bold, High Roller Suites. I blinked. That was the hotel. The one Evan tagged earlier with, "At High Roller Life #bottle service baby." I sat up. Grabbed my phone. Checked Instagram. All their posts had stopped around 7 p.m. No stories. No updates. Nothing in the group chat. For the first time in 24 hours, silence. Even Julia hadn't posted a selfie. And if you knew Julia, you'd know that was serious. I turned the TV volume up. The news anchors were interviewing a tourist who'd been evacuated in a towel. He said people were trapped on the upper floors. That smoke alarms didn't go off right away. That there was panic. My stomach dropped. I shouldn't have cared. They ditched me. They chose bottle service over my graduation. But I couldn't help it. I felt my fingers hovering over the family chat. Should I ask if they were okay? Should I pretend I didn't see it? Should I say, "Hope Vegas is everything you dreamed"? I didn't type anything. Because something in me shifted. For the first time in my life, they were the ones on the outside. And I was the one watching the story unfold. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to be the first one to care. By morning, my phone had exploded. Missed calls. Unread messages. Even a voicemail from Grandma, which was rare because she thinks voicemail is a scam invented by pranksters. I scrolled through the family group chat, the same one that couldn't spare a "congrats" the day before. Suddenly it was filled with frantic messages. "Mom, does anyone know where Evan is?" "Dad, he's not answering. Neither is Julia. They were at that hotel." "Aunt Lorna, they just said on the news that some guests had to be helicoptered off the roof." "Mom again. Is this real? Why would this happen now?" I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, it wasn't. But the whiplash of watching them pivot from "don't be dramatic" to Is my firstborn okay? Gave me emotional whiplash. Then my phone rang. It was Mom. I stared at it, letting it buzz on the table. Then it rang again. Dad. Then Grandma. I finally picked up when Luis called, because I needed someone who didn't treat me like a fire extinguisher until the family drama caught flame. Yo, he said. You see this? Whole thing's crazy. You okay? Yeah, I muttered. Just watching it all burn from here. You want me to bring snacks? Luis was a real one. Meanwhile, news coverage got worse. Smoke inhalation. Power outages. Dozens hospitalized, none confirmed dead, thank God, but the chaos was real. And still no word from Evan. Not that I was waiting by the window like some sad Victorian widow. But still. It took until 2 p.m. for a text to come through. Evan. Alive. Phone dead. Smoke everywhere. Julia's mad about her hair. Typing W/thumbs covered in soot. We'll update later. That was it. No. Thanks for checking in. No. Sorry we missed your graduation. Not even a stray. Hey, how'd it go? They escaped a literal fire, and the first update was about Julia's hair. Some things never change. I went for a walk to clear my head. Campus was quiet, littered with programs and discarded sashes. A few parents were still taking photos with their kids in front of the fountain. One dad lifted his son onto his shoulders while the mom took a picture and shouted, "You did it, baby." And I stood there, holding a paper coffee cup, trying to decide if I wanted to feel bitter or free. Because here's the truth. The fire hadn't changed anything. Evan was still Evan. My family was still my family. They had survived the flames, but they were never going to show up for me unless it was convenient. And yet, for once, I wasn't the one clinging to them. They were the ones trying to reach me. When I got home, I saw another text from Mom. Mom, can you call us? We're trying to figure things out. We might need help rebooking flights or finding chargers or something. Ah, yes. The classic. We ignored your biggest moment, but now we're in crisis, please come fix it. I didn't reply. I opened my laptop and started drafting my resume instead. I have a degree now. I have options. And maybe, just maybe, I was finally done waiting for them to show up. Because I had shown up. For myself. And I wasn't going to set myself on fire to keep people warm who never once lit a candle for me. They got back on Monday. No parade. No heartfelt speeches. No confetti made of regrets. Just more chaos. The family group chat turned into a flurry of updates, insurance issues, hotel complaints, a blurry photo of Julia holding a half-melted phone with the caption, "Still cute though, face blowing kiss fire." They never once mentioned my graduation. Not even a post-burn toast attempt like, "Hey, sorry we missed it, you know, fire and all." Instead, I got a message directly from Mom. "Mom, we're staying at Aunt Lorna's for a few days while everything gets sorted. You should come by. We need to talk." Need to talk. The 4 most exhausting words in the English language. I thought about ignoring it. I really did. But curiosity is a sneaky little thing. And part of me wondered, stupidly, if they were finally going to apologize. So I went. Aunt Lorna's place looked like Hobby Lobby had sneezed on it. Floral pillows, inspirational wall decals, and a doormat that read, "Why not?" I walked in and saw Evan first, shirtless, bandaged, sipping Gatorade like he just returned from war. Julia was next to him, taking selfies from a good angle, which apparently required standing on a chair and shouting, "Don't move, the lighting's perfect." Dad was pacing. Mom was rifling through a suitcase. When she saw me, she said, "There you are." Like I was late to something they hadn't invited me to. Then she sighed, gave me this tired smile, and said, "Well, you look healthy." Healthy. Not, "How was graduation?" Not, "We're proud of you." Not even, "Nice shirt." Just healthy. Cool. Then Evan, in all his bandaged, smoke-kissed glory, looked at me and went, "Yo, grad boy. You catch the ceremony on replay or whatever?" I blinked. I was the ceremony. He chuckled. Right, right. Then added, sorry we missed it. Vegas, man? Wild. Wild. That's what he called missing the biggest day of my life. That's what he called skipping it to pop champagne over Julia's neon cake shaped like a zodiac wheel. I sat down on the edge of the floral couch. Mom cleared her throat. Listen, we've had some time to think, and we realized things got a little. She searched for the word, like it was hiding behind the throw pillows. Unbalanced. Unbalanced? Like a minor budget hiccup. Like they forgot to split the restaurant bill evenly. Unbalanced? I said. You mean how Evans had 3 cars since high school, and I had to borrow Louis's bike for job interviews? Mom winced. We didn't mean to make you feel excluded. Right, I said. It just came naturally. Dad stepped in, raising his hands like he was diffusing a hostage situation. Let's not rehash old wounds. What matters is we're here now. We're trying. Julia, still perched like a decorative flamingo, chimed in with, you should be grateful. Evan almost died. Julia, I said. His hair got singed. That's not a near-death experience. That's karma for hairspray overuse. Even Evan chuckled at that. But Mom wasn't laughing. We just want to start fresh, she said. Maybe have a proper dinner. Celebrate your graduation. Catch up. I looked around. At Evan, scrolling through texts. At Julia, now applying lip gloss using the reflection from a silver spoon. At my parents, offering a patch job over years of rot. And I realized, they didn't come here to apologize. They came to reset the scoreboard. To pretend like we were all good. Like one dinner and a maybe cake would erase all the birthdays, events, and milestones they ghosted on. So I smiled. Sure, I said. Let's do dinner. Mom lit up. Really? Yeah, I said. Let me know when and where. Because I had a plan. And if they thought a dinner was enough to tie things up with a nice bow, well, they clearly hadn't learned a thing. Dinner was set for Saturday. Same day of the week as my graduation. Same 4 p.m. time slot. Poetic, right? Mom sent out an overly cheerful message to the family group chat. Mom, celebrating our graduation this weekend. Graduation cap dinner at Lorna's. Family time. Smiling face with hearts. Suddenly, everyone was replying like I'd been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Aunt Lorna. So proud of our scholar. Uncle Rick. Save me a drumstick and some wisdom. Grandma. Will there be mashed potatoes? It was surreal. These were the same people who didn't even text congrats until smoke was pouring out of the high roller. Now they were all acting like they'd been in my corner since kindergarten. I arrived at Lorna's house 5 minutes early, not because I was excited, but because I wanted to watch how fake the room got when I walked in. Spoiler, pretty fake. Mom hugged me like I'd just returned from war. Dad clapped me on the back and said, "There's our little graduate." Evan gave me a lazy salute and winked, like we shared some private joke. Julia didn't even look up. She was live streaming a tour of Aunt Lorna's kitchen for her followers. You clean up nice, Mom said, eyeing my button-up shirt. Did you get that for graduation? No, I said. Got it for the job interviews you didn't ask about. She blinked. Oh. Dinner was a buffet of half-hearted effort. Rotisserie chicken. Boxed potatoes. Store-bought cake with "Congrats, grad" spelled in green gel. They didn't even bother to put my name on it. At one point, Evan clinked his glass with a spoon. The room quieted. I just want to say, he began, standing up with the confidence of a man who once tried to trademark the phrase, "Hustle Daddy," that even though we weren't at the ceremony, we were with you in spirit. I choked slightly on a bread roll. He went on, "You know, being the first college grad in the family? That's big. Like real big. You're paving the way for the next generation of computer dudes or whatever." There was polite clapping. Someone said "Hear, hear," and it was unclear if they were being sarcastic or not. Then Mom stood up. "We know we've made mistakes," she said, which was almost a sentence. But we're trying to be more present, more supportive. You've accomplished something incredible, and we're all so proud of you. I sipped my water. Evan leaned over. So what's next? Got any offers? I nodded. Couple of interviews lined up. One place offered a paid relocation package. Julia perked up. Ooh, like where? Out of state, I said casually. Maybe Colorado. Cold, she said, as if that ended the discussion. Then Mom hit me with the real question. So, are you planning to stay close to home? And there it was. They wanted to know if they could fold me back into the narrative. If they could go back to forgetting me on a local level. I smiled. Not sure yet. Depends who shows up for me when it matters. Silence. Dad coughed into his napkin. Julia took a picture of the mashed potatoes. Evan started peeling the sticker off a bottle of sparkling cider like it owed him money. And then I did it. I pulled out a small envelope and placed it on the table. Before I forget, I said, I brought something for you guys. Mom looked confused. She opened it slowly. Inside was a photo. Me in my graduation gown. Alone. Standing in front of the university sign. No family. No balloons. Just me. On the back I'd written, Thanks for not coming. You made the moment entirely mine. The silence wasn't quiet, it was loud. You could hear every unspoken apology trying to fight its way out. But I didn't need to hear it. Because I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. I excused myself from the table. Told them I had a meeting in the morning. Mom followed me to the door. We really are proud of you, she said. You know that, right? I nodded. You will be. Eventually. Then I walked out. And for once, I didn't look back. 3 things happened the morning after I sent that photo. The group chat went from tumbleweeds to trauma. My mom attempted an apology using emojis. Julia messaged me at 7:04 a.m. to complain about her under-eye circles. Let's break that down. First, the chat. Mom, we saw your picture on the university page. It's powerful. Can we talk? Dad, not sure what that message meant. We're here if you want to explain. Evan, yo, that pic's kinda savage. Viral energy. Respect. Julia, would you mind taking that pic down? I look exhausted, and it's not flattering. I didn't reply to any of them. Because for once, I was busy. I put on my most dramatic playlist, the kind with violins and betrayal energy, and went for a walk. The campus looked different now. Not because it changed, but because I had. The stage was gone. Confetti swept. Balloons deflated. But the memory was mine. And no one could airbrush their way into it now. I sat on the same bench I used to nap on between graveyard shifts and calculus. Funny how it used to feel like a pit stop. Now it felt like a throne. That's when I got the second surprise. Louise called. Breathless. Bro. You're famous. Unless I accidentally leaked national secrets, I doubt it. No, for real. The university reposted your photo. I pulled it up, expecting a tiny student repost or something buried in stories. Nope. Front page of the school's verified Instagram account. This is what resilience looks like. Congratulations to our grads who fought for every step. You did it. Over 1,000 likes. Comments like, I don't know this guy but I feel this. This made me cry at work. My son saw this and said maybe I can do it too. Meanwhile, my family hadn't said a word about the actual photo, only the fact that people saw it. Which brings us to the third surprise. Professor Henderson, yes, the one who once told me I lacked the instinct for real-world problem-solving, DMs me on LinkedIn. Saw the photo. If you're still looking for work, a friend of mine runs a startup in Denver. They're hiring. Want me to put in a word? I sat there with the biggest grin. I didn't need the word. But wow, did it feel good to be offered one. I typed back. Appreciate it. I'll think about it. Translation, now you see it, huh? That evening, while stirring a pot of aggressively budget ramen, I made my move. I dropped the link to the university's post into the family group chat. No caption. No explanation. Just the link. A single, elegant grenade. 10 seconds later. Mom, we saw this. We didn't realize you felt that way. Dad, you should have told us. Evan, you trying to do a podcast or what? 'Cause this got serious engagement. I sipped my instant broth like it was vintage wine. Let them stew. They wanted to rewrite history, pretend like they were part of the moment. But the whole world saw it wasn't true. And for once, their silence wasn't a footnote in my story. They were the side characters now. I didn't reply. Instead, I printed the photo and taped it to my bedroom wall, right next to my degree. The caption under it? Nothing fancy. Just a sticky note that said, "Alone, not lonely." And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. 3 days after the post went up, I got a letter. An actual letter. In the mailbox. With a stamp and everything. At first, I thought it was a bill. Or jury duty. But then I saw the handwriting on the envelope, loopy cursive, the kind that looked like it belonged on a wedding invitation. It was from Grandma. Inside was a short note. Written in her flowery penmanship, with the occasional word underlined twice for no clear reason. Saw your picture on the university page. I'm sorry we weren't there. You've done something special. I hope you know I'm proud. Don't let the rest of us make you forget that. P.S. Your cousin Brandon failed community college again. Don't be like him. I smiled. It was weird, how the smallest things sometimes land the heaviest. I folded the note and slipped it into my desk drawer, right next to my diploma. Then I went back to job hunting. I wasn't trying to prove anything anymore. I was just looking for something that fit. A week passed. Then another. I started getting callbacks. Zoom interviews. Some went great. Some were awkward enough to haunt me forever. One recruiter asked me to name 3 weaknesses. I said, family, forgiveness, and folding fitted sheets. She laughed so hard she snorted. A month in, I got an offer. Full-time. Remote. Starting salary that didn't make me cry. Benefits. And relocation wasn't required, but suddenly, the idea of leaving this place felt less scary. It felt necessary. So I made a decision. I signed the offer. Booked a moving truck. And then, out of some strange sense of closure, I told my family I was leaving. Dropped it in the group chat casually. Hey all. Got a job. Moving out of state next week. Just wanted to say thanks for everything. In your own way, you taught me exactly who I want to be. Reactions rolled in like confused chickens. Evan. Wait, FR? Mom. Where are you going? When? Are we doing a send-off dinner? Dad. Can you send me your address? I'll help with the truck. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I started packing. It was surreal, boxing up my life, seeing what stayed and what got tossed. The cheap plastic fan I'd had since freshman year? Gone. The cracked coffee mug from my first job? Kept. The graduation gown? Folded carefully into a suitcase. And taped to the inside of the front door, that photo. The one from graduation day. My landlord came to do a walkthrough and paused when she saw it. That you? Yeah. Looks like a guy who knows what he's doing. I shrugged. I'm figuring it out. She nodded. Good. Don't let anyone make you smaller just because they can't see the size of you yet. Weirdly poetic for a woman who once screamed at raccoons in her bathrobe, but I appreciated it. Moving day arrived. Louise showed up to help, in flip-flops, obviously, and brought snacks instead of tape. By 3 p.m., we were done. U-Haul packed, apartment keys returned, snacks eaten. Before we pulled off, I sent one last message to the group chat. Thanks for the memories. I'll send a postcard, maybe. No location. No forwarding address. Just space. And it felt good. Not spiteful. Not dramatic. Just clean. I had been the background character long enough. And I was done being written into a story that never had space for me. I left at sunrise. Not to be poetic, I just didn't want anyone waving from the driveway like we were in a feel-good movie. We weren't. Louise showed up in flip-flops again, carrying gas station breakfast sandwiches and no emotional stability. "Think they'll chase you down the highway?" he asked, tossing me one. "If they do, I'm not stopping unless it's for gas or Grammy's cookies," I said. He helped load the last box into the truck and handed me a small gift bag. Inside was a mug. White. Plain. And in big black letters, "You don't need a toast to matter." I actually laughed. Hard. "That's your new office mug," he said. "With passive aggression built in." We did the bro hug thing. You know, one arm, 2 slaps on the back, no eye contact, and then he stepped back like I was being launched into orbit. "See you when I see you," he said. "Only if you bring tacos." And that was it. I started the engine. My degree was in the front seat next to me. The photo was taped to the dashboard. And behind me? Just a bunch of boxes and a town that never knew what I carried. I didn't send a goodbye message. Didn't drop my new address. Didn't write some dramatic post about closing chapters and finding myself. I just left. At a gas station 2 hours out, I stretched, bought the cheapest coffee on earth, and checked my phone one last time. There it was, a final message from Mom. "I know we got a lot wrong. But I do hope you'll come home sometime. You'll always have a place here." Funny. The only place they ever gave me was the one I carved out of nothing. I stared at it for a long minute. Not angry. Not moved. Just tired of pretending that any of it had ever been mine. Then I did what I guess you'd call petty. But to me, it was justice. I sent the same photo again. The one of me at graduation, alone, tired, proud. This time, I added a new caption. This was my home. Until I built one of my own. No emoji. No extra text. Just clarity. I powered down my phone. Turned up the music, old playlist, but the bass felt better now. And I drove. Through flatlands, then hills. Through the kind of silence that doesn't echo sadness, just peace. No more waiting for invitations that never came. No more showing up to events where I was the extra chair. No more pretending their crumbs were a feast. This road? This moment? It was mine. And they could scroll all they wanted. Zoom in. Comment. Whisper. But they wouldn't see the real view. Because the best part was finally being somewhere they couldn't reach me.